The day.
Government House Leader.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I call third reading of Bill number 18, Haida Nation Recognition Act.
I invite Erica Reed, Gideon Judd of the Haida Nation to deliver a prayer.
You can all bring yourselves together in heart, mind, and spirit. Satlana gunang eat haidagas, ahayat singai skaudagi, dunga alang kiltlaga. Haida tolgai, aiskuchang, yachgudangai wagi kilhi ganga. Ahayat haidaga at digurangai yuanga. Haida tolgai aiskuchang naistulyai gu atlakianang alanga. Dlang wadluchan digithla ngaistel at daguya at dlaida. Satlana gunung eat haidagas, ahayat singai skaudagi dunga dalang kiltlaga. Hawa.
Thank you very much for that beautiful prayer. I invite Jason Goyes, President of the Council of the Haida Nation, to address the House.
Honorable Speaker. First, I'd like to acknowledge and extend a hawa thank you to Elder Shirley Alphonse for the prayer, and also like to acknowledge that we're in the traditional territory of the Lekwungen-speaking people, and on behalf of the Haida Nation, say hawa for allowing us to conduct business today here on your traditional lands. Honorable members of the House, it's humbling and a privilege to be here on the floor to speak to you all. As President of the Haida Nation, I come before you with a delegation of the Haida Nation made up of our hereditary chiefs, members of our Hereditary Chiefs Council, elected representatives of the Council of the Haida Nation, and elected representatives from our village councils of Old Masset, Auklage, and Skidegate, Skagilda. Together we stand before you and represent the Haida Nation, all of our citizens, our good people, and the lands and waters of Haida Gwaii who we speak for. We're here to come together to celebrate and bear witness to the third reading of the Haida Nation Recognition Act. And it's with mixed emotions. It's that we must acknowledge that, it is difficult at times to confront the history that has led us all here today. So we do come to you here to celebrate, but here to also acknowledge the past and the work and the healing that we're doing together. Our people succumbed to the smallpox epidemics and other diseases that had spread, with the coming of Europeans and others into these lands. And that was spread and left unchecked and had a devastating impact on our people and our culture, and in many ways helped, lay the path for colonial government to come and impose the jurisdiction on our lands, on our territories. Our thousands were reduced to hundreds, and that power that our nation, our people, were so well known for was reduced to handfuls of clans and survivors of people who were forced to move into a survival mode to carry on what was left and pick up the pieces. Despite that, our chiefs, our people showed resilience and perseverance and found ways to navigate the colonial imposition, found ways to resist, found ways to carry on the teachings and the history of the land and of our ancestors, our Kunisi. So Hawa Gitinjat for opening us in the Haida language and bringing our ancestors into the room here with us today. After the spread of smallpox, our chiefs had an audience with Governor Douglas in 1863, almost 160 years ago. And there's some descendants of those chiefs are with us here today. And they found a way, again, to navigate all the barriers and all of the challenges and remain intact our inherent title and rights, and really regroup as a people, as communities, as a nation. And when BC and survive the violence and the gunboat diplomacy of the day, and when BC became a part of Canada, and more policies and different acts came into play that were designed to try to eliminate us, to assimilate us, and to disconnect us from our lands, from our territories, from the teachings, from our culture. our people once again found a way to pass on the history and the knowledge that we bring forth with us today. So even though, despite being prevented from gathering to bring forward our land claims, despite not being able to practice our potlatch system, our traditional legal system, despite the reserves that we were placed on and unable to exercise our rights, and others who had come to exploit our lands, we carried on. We continued to stay strong, stay together, and stay as one nation. In 1913, when the Royal Commission came to Haida Gwaii, once again our people had an audience in both of our communities, in Old Masset and Skidegate, and they once again expressed eloquently our position that we had never surrendered, ceded, we never signed a treaty, had never been defeated in war, that we'd never given up our lands, and that we are still the rightful heirs and title holders to all of Haida territory. And they communicated the beautiful way that in that time that we spoke as one. We'd throw in all of the territory into one lot or into the common bowl. And that's how I speak to you today, to represent all of the Haida Nation. They not only expressed their concerns about the land and the reserves and the system that was imposed, they also were concerned about the forests and the fish and the environment. But at the same time, they also expressed very beautifully their desire to live in peace and harmony with those who have come to settle in our territory, who had become friends and neighbors, and to continue to seek peace and contentment in our own lands. And that position's remained throughout the years and is the same spirit we come to you today. In 1974, unable again to resolve the land question, our people formed the Council of the Haida Nation, our national government that this act formally recognizes here today. Brings together all Haida citizens, all people of Haida ancestry are recognized as Haida citizens. All of our clans, our villages, all under one united nation, our elected and hereditary leadership at the national level, at the village level, in our traditional system. So again, we've been for many years working at trying to settle the land question, and our people have continued to stand up through our own system to protect the Goost, later Gwaihanis, which again, took a lot of good people working together, a lot of allies, a lot of support in government. And they also, again, at that time said, we're doing it for both sides. We're doing it for the future and current generations of Haida, of British Columbians and Canadians. And we found innovative and creative ways to seek common ground, find ways to work together, to look after things, to look after Haida Gwaii. Of course, we've also had to resort to the courts, and the Haida case, helped develop the duty to consult and accommodate and uphold the honor of the Crown. We've done amazing work together in land use planning with our neighbors, provincial government, and forged managing together through the Kunstigu, Kunstiya protocol, which in the Haida language means the beginning or the beginning of the beginning. And now we're over 10 years, 12, 13 years into that arrangement. We're taking the next step from that humble beginning. So together, we've been able to give back the name Queen Charlotte Islands and restore the rightful name of Haida Gwaii, protect over 51% of Haida Gwaii, and find ways to work together to manage for the balance of a sustainable islands economy and to look after the lands and the waters. In 2021, we reached another historic milestone together, BC and Canada and the Haida Nation, in signing the Gaigasta Kwaslashtaya Reconciliation Framework Agreement, where today is an expression of following up on implementing the recognition of the Council of the Haida Nation as the government of the Haida Nation. And we're excited to be here with you to celebrate and witness. And, you know, it's really taken a lot of people working together, good people working together to make things right. And in the Haida language, we say, "Gut atalang skongolcha tulyasta," good people working together to make things right. And that's how we see this process of reconciliation. And so we're here today to celebrate, to show a way forward that is not to be feared, but to bring hope, that we can bring hope to each other, to others, to show an example that Indigenous title and rights to self-governance and self-determination and British Columbia and Canadian systems can find a way to interact and interface in a respectful way and to move forth based on that principle of respect, yakudang, with integrity, with dignity, and move forward and heal a system. That there's good people, and we're all working to heal a system that needs all of us bringing our collective experiences and wisdoms to the table to do so. And so that's what we're here for, again, to celebrate and witness this good work of good people working together to show that together we can come together and heal a system for this post-colonial era and find a path to peaceful coexistence. Hawa.
Thank you. On behalf of all members of the Legislative Assembly, please accept our sincere appreciation for addressing the House today. And we are very honored that you were able to attend today's proceeding. Thank you so much. Minister of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and through you, thank you so much, Gagwis, for your words of wisdom. I know, Mr. Speaker, it's unusual for a minister at this point in our legislative process to have the opportunity to speak even briefly, so I beg your indulgence in doing so, because, Mr. Speaker, today is truly an historic day for the province of British Columbia. Today is a first step in our commitment to recognize Haida governance as determined and recognized by the Haida Nation. Mr. Speaker, we didn't get here overnight. It's the result of a strong relationship that our province has developed with the Council of the Haida Nation. This legislation was drafted jointly every step of the way. It's tangible evidence of a progressive approach to reconciliation. The legislation, if approved by this House today, will be the first time in our history that the province would provide formal legal recognition of an Indigenous governing body outside the implementation of a modern treaty. It is And so, Mr. Speaker, it is with immense joy that we come together and take this incremental step in partnership today. I want to thank the House for allowing me these brief comments. I'll have much more to say after our business in this House is complete. Thank you so much.
Member for Vancouver-Langara.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and certainly on behalf
Member,
of
hold it. Minister to move third reading of the bill.
Speaker, I do, of course, move third reading of the bill.
Thank you. Member for Vancouver-Langara.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and on behalf of the Leader of the official opposition and all members of the official opposition, I certainly would like to thank Gogis for his very powerful words of reflection. They're very, very meaningful to all members of this House. And as we spoke in the hallway with the delegation, with your elders, with your hereditary chiefs and elected representatives of the Haida Nation here today, you've traveled a long way to witness this remarkable occasion. And I appreciate you sharing the burdens of the nation that your elders, your ancestors have carried for so long. It's been a long journey to get to this point. But as you know, over successive governments, the journey to reconciliation, the recognition that you spoke of, the beginnings of beginnings, over 10 to 13 years ago in 2010, was an important measure. There's been further measures with the reconciliation agreement, and we certainly support the next steps with the formal recognition of the Haida Nation under this bill, and the hope that the journey will continue in a very good way, in a shorter way, to get to a better place with your nation, to heal all that has happened, and to recognize that you are an example to other nations in this land. Not just in terms of the journey through the courts, but the journey through leadership, to support of your peoples, to doing what's right for your peoples, to standing up for what's right, but recognizing that through successive governments, we can progress this to a better place. And that hope is certainly what we share with you. So thank you again for making the journey to be with us today, to witness this, and I hope that we'll continue down a good path to reconciliation with your nation.
House Leader, third party.
Escusiam, Iguis, hereditary and elected chiefs, elders, matriarchs, Hanaptanitsne, Jislay Seneth Kusatnich. My name is Hanap from the Kusatnich territory. Just want to say a brief few words here and thank you for your powerful statements in the legislative chamber here today. I just want to say that I'm very grateful for the Haida Nation. And I raise my hands to you. I raise my hands to your past leaders, your current leaders, and I raise my hands to your future leaders who have already got on the record here. The political and legal work that has been done on behalf of all Indigenous people across this country by the Haida is inexplicable. It's hard to explain the impact that your work has done for all of us, for all our relatives. And with that, I raise my hands in immense gratitude to you. You are indeed here today as a result of that incredible and powerful display of patience, long-suffering, and leadership. I often talk about how some of the most remarkable leaders in this country are leaders of Indigenous communities, often doing more with the least. And Iguis, your statements here today demonstrated a real grounding and sense of purpose, and I think that that's what we see in our Indigenous leaders, and I really thank you for your words. I raise my hands in gratitude to all the Haida, and I look forward to, as my colleagues have said, working alongside you nation to nation in order to build a better province. And this is indeed a day of celebration for the Haida people and the Haida Nation, but it is also a day of celebration for the province of British Columbia as we demonstrate of the work that we've done here in terms of reconciliation through the Declaration Act and the many steps that have been taken, a maturation of this institution. And I am so grateful to be here during this process, and I'm so grateful that you're here with us. And with that, I just take my seat in High CM. Thank you.
Seeing no further speakers, members, the question is third reading of the bill number 18, Haida Nation Recognition Act. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Bill 18 has been read third time and has passed. Congratulations. I again want to say thank you on behalf of all members for being here today and be part of these ceremonies. And I really sincerely say thank you. We are very grateful. Thank you very much for coming.
Hey, hi-yo, how we